My name is Amina. I want to tell you my story. It is not easy for me to speak about this, even now, after many years. But I promised myself that one day I will tell what happened to my husband, and what happened to me after. So I am telling it now, slow, the way I remember it, the way it still lives inside my heart. I grew up in a small village. It was far from the big cities, up in the hills, where the roads were bad and the phones did not always work. Our village had one main rule that everybody knew from the time they were small children. You do not leave the faith of your family. You do not question the elders. You do not bring shame to your house. This was not written on paper. It was written inside us, like something in our blood. My father used to say, our fathers believed this way and their fathers before them, and this is how we know who we are. If you leave this path, you are not just leaving a religion. You are leaving your family. You are leaving your name. You are leaving everything. I married my husband when I was 19 years old. His name was Rashid. I want you to know his name because he was a real man, not just a story. He had kind eyes. I remember the first time I saw him at my cousin's wedding. He was standing near the food table, laughing with his friends, and something about the way he laughed made me want to know him. Our families arranged the marriage, like most marriages in our village, but I was happy. I was not forced. I liked him from the start, and after we married, I loved him more every year. He was gentle with me. He worked hard, he grew vegetables and kept some goats, and in the evening he would sit with me and tell me about his day, small things, funny things, and I would laugh so hard my stomach hurt. We had 2 children together, a boy and a girl. Our life was simple, but it was good. I did not know then how much that goodness would be tested. It happened during a season we called the Holy Month. Every year, during this month, the men from our village would travel to a big shrine many days away, a place that was very important to our old faith. It was tradition. Every family tried to send at least one man on this journey once in his life, if they could afford it. We had saved money for years so Rashid could go. I remember the morning he left. I packed his bag myself. I put in his warm clothes, some bread, a small photo of me and the children. I told him to be careful and to come back safe. He kissed my forehead and told me not to worry, that he would be back before the last of the rains came. I stood outside our house and watched him walk down the road until I could not see him anymore. I did not know that man walking away from me would come back a different man. A man I would love even more, but a man who would also bring a storm into our lives that I could not have imagined. He was gone for many weeks. When he came back, I noticed something different in him right away. It is hard to explain. His eyes were the same kind eyes, but there was something new inside them, something soft and quiet, like he was carrying a secret that made him both happy and afraid. That first night, after the children were sleeping, he sat with me outside under the sky and he took my hands in his and he said, "Amina, something happened to me at the shrine. I need to tell you, but you must promise not to be afraid." I told him I promised, though inside my heart, I was already afraid. He told me that one night, during his time there, unable to sleep, he had a dream. In this dream, a man came to him. Rashid said the man had a light around him that was not like any light he had ever seen, not sunlight, not fire, something else, something that felt alive. Rashid said the man spoke to him with a voice full of so much love that he wept in the dream, and he was still weeping when he woke up. He said the man told him, "I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, come and follow me." Rashid said in the dream he asked the man, "Who are you?" And the man said, "I am Jesus, I died for you and I am alive, come to me." I did not know what to say when he told me this. I felt my chest go tight. In our village we had heard of this name before, this Jesus. We were taught that he was one prophet among many, respected but not special above the others, and we were taught never to think of him as anything more than that. To say his name the way Rashid was saying it now, like he belonged to this man, like this man had claimed him, this was dangerous talk. This was the kind of talk that could destroy a family. I begged Rashid to be quiet about it. I told him, maybe it was just a dream, maybe it was the tiredness from the journey, maybe it means nothing. He looked at me and he said, "Amina, I know what a tired dream feels like. I know what a hungry dream feels like. This was not that. This felt more real than my waking life. I have never in my life felt so loved by anyone the way I felt loved in that dream. He said after the dream he could not stop thinking about this Jesus. He said he started to feel something waking up inside his chest, like a fire that would not go out no matter how much he tried to push it down. For some weeks he kept it quiet. He would still go to the mosque with the other men, still keep the fasts, still do everything that was expected of him. But at night, when we were alone, he would talk to me about it. He told me he began praying to this Jesus in secret, just talking to him like a friend, and he said something in him began to change. He said the anger he used to carry, the anger from his own hard childhood, from his own father who used to beat him, this anger began to soften. He told me he felt forgiven for things he never told anyone, not even me. He became more patient with our children. He became more gentle with me. I saw the change with my own eyes, and even though I was afraid of what this meant, I could not deny that my husband was becoming a better man. But secrets do not stay secret forever, especially not in a small village where everyone knows everyone's business. One evening, his cousin came to visit, and Rashid, without thinking, without being careful, mentioned the name of Jesus in a way that was full of love, the way a man speaks about someone he trusts completely. His cousin's face changed right there at the table. I saw it happen. I saw the moment the trust broke. Word spread fast after that. Within days, the elders of the village called Rashid to come speak with them. I begged him not to go. I told him to run, to take us far away, but he said, "Amina, I am not ashamed of what happened to me. I cannot pretend I did not meet him. If I hide now, I will be lying with my whole life, not just with my mouth." He went to speak with the elders. I stayed home with our children, and I prayed the old prayers I grew up with, even though something inside me was already praying differently too, because his fire had touched me also, quietly, in ways I had not told him yet. When he came back that night, his face was pale. He told me the elders had given him a chance. They said if he would say publicly that the dream was nothing, that he still belonged fully to the faith of his fathers, they would forgive this moment of weakness and never speak of it again. He told me he sat in front of them, and for one moment, just one moment, he thought about saying the words they wanted. He thought about our children, about me, about our small house and our small life that we had built together. He said he almost said it. But then he told me, "Amina," something rose up inside me, and I could not make the words come out of my mouth. I looked at the elders and I told them, I cannot deny what happened to me. I met him. I know him now. I cannot pretend I do not. The days after that were the hardest days I had ever lived. Our neighbors, people we had known our whole lives, stopped speaking to us. Some spat on the ground when Rashid walked by. His own brothers came to the house and screamed at him, calling him a traitor, calling him a man without honor, telling him he was bringing shame that would follow our children forever. I remember standing between them and my husband, my whole body shaking, begging them to stop, and Rashid gently moving me aside, saying, "Do not be afraid for me, Amina, my heart is settled now in a way it has never been settled before." I did not understand that peace then. I thought he was being reckless. I thought he was choosing something invisible over the family that could be seen and touched, over me, over our children who needed their father. I was angry with him some nights, and other nights I would hold him and cry, because underneath my anger, I could feel that whatever had happened to him was real, and it terrified me because I knew what our village did to men who turned away from the old path. The elders gave him one more chance, a final chance, on a night that I will never forget for as long as I live. They called a meeting in the center of the village, near the old well, and they told him to stand in front of everyone and take back what he had said. I was there. I was holding my daughter's hand, my son was standing beside me holding onto my dress with his small fist. The whole village was gathered in the torchlight, and Rashid stood in the middle of them, alone. The head elder, an old man named Hafiz who had known Rashid's father, spoke to him with a voice that tried to sound gentle but was full of warning underneath. He said, "Rashid, we have known you since you were a boy. We do not want to lose you. Say the words, and this will all be finished, and you can go home to your wife and your children tonight, and we will never speak of this again." Rashid stood there for a long moment, and I watched his chest rise and fall, and I prayed with everything inside me that he would just say the words, just this once, just to save his life, just to come home with us. But then he lifted his head, and he looked out over all of us, and his eyes found mine in the crowd, and I saw something in his face that I will never forget, not sadness, not fear, but a strange kind of love, like he was looking at me and saying goodbye and I love you at the same time. He said, I cannot deny what I have seen. Jesus is alive. He met me in my darkest hour and he gave me peace I have never known before. If loving him costs me my life, then let it cost me my life, but I will not deny him with my mouth. The crowd went silent for one moment, and then the silence broke into shouting. Some men grabbed him. I screamed and tried to run to him, but hands held me back, my own brother's hands, telling me it was too dangerous, that I would be hurt too, that I had to think of my children. I fought against those hands as hard as I could, but I was not strong enough. I watched them take my husband away into the darkness, and I heard him call out one more time, not words of anger, not words of fear, but he called out, Amina, take care of the children, tell them I love them, tell them I am not afraid. Those were the last words I ever heard my husband say. I do not want to describe to you exactly what happened after they took him, because I myself was not there, and I do not know all of the details, and some things I have chosen not to ask, because a heart can only hold so much pain before it breaks completely. What I know is that by the next morning, they brought his body back to our house. I remember falling to the ground when I saw him. I remember screaming until my voice was gone. I remember my daughter crying because she did not understand why her mother was making such terrible sounds, and my son standing very still, very quiet, too young to understand but old enough to feel that something in our world had ended forever. They buried him that same day, far outside the village, in a place where they buried people who were considered to have brought shame. I was not even allowed to properly mourn him the way a wife should be allowed to mourn her husband. I stood at a distance, my children in my arms, watching men I had known my whole life put my husband into the ground like he was nothing, like the 12 years we had shared together, like the 2 children he had given me, like the gentle laugh I fell in love with at that wedding so many years before, meant nothing at all. For weeks after, I could not eat. I could not sleep without seeing his face. I was angry at him, angry at this Jesus he loved so much, angry that this love had taken him from me and left me alone with 2 children and a village that now looked at me with suspicion too. I remember one night, sitting outside under the same sky where he first told me about his dream, and I looked up and I said, out loud, to nobody, to everybody, why did you take him from me? If you are real, if you are who he said you are, why did you let this happen? I did not receive a voice from the sky. I did not have a dream like his. But something happened inside me that night that I still find hard to explain with words. It was not a light, not a vision, nothing so dramatic. It was more like a warmth, spreading slowly through my chest, the same kind of warmth I used to feel when Rashid would hold me after a hard day. And with that warmth came a strange thought that was not really my own thought, more like something being placed gently inside me. The thought was, he is not gone, he is only ahead of you, and I am here with you now. I do not know how to explain that night fully, even to myself, even after all these years. All I know is that from that night, something in me began to change the same way something in Rashid had changed after his own dream. I began to understand, slowly, why he could not deny what he experienced, even to save his own life. Because once you feel that kind of love, that kind of peace, denying it feels like denying air itself, like denying your own heartbeat. I could not stay in the village after that. It was too dangerous for me and for my children, especially once people began to notice the change in me too, the same quietness, the same strange peace that had come over Rashid before they killed him. A friend of my husband, a man who had also secretly believed but had kept it hidden out of fear, helped me and my children escape one night. I will not say exactly how or exactly where we went, because there are still people from other villages living that same kind of hidden faith, and I do not want to put any of them in danger by saying too much. But I can tell you that we found our way, eventually, to a small community of believers who took us in, who fed my children, who let me cry on their shoulders for many months until I had no more tears left to cry. My children are older now. My son remembers his father a little. My daughter mostly knows him through the stories I tell her at night, the same way I am telling you now. I tell them their father was the bravest man I ever knew, not because he was never afraid, but because he chose to be honest even when honesty cost him everything. I tell them that the love he found, the love that cost him his life, is the same love I found on that dark night when my heart was broken open on the ground outside our old house. People sometimes ask me if I am angry, if I regret what happened, if I wish Rashid had just said the words that night and come home safe. I would be lying if I told you I never think about that. There are still nights, even now, when I imagine a different life, a life where he is still beside me, growing old, watching our children marry, holding grandchildren in his arms. I miss him every single day. I do not think that missing him will ever fully go away, not in this life. But I also know something else now, something I did not know before that night under the sky. I know that Rashid did not lose his life for nothing. I know that the peace I saw in his eyes that final night in the torchlight was real, more real than the fear all around him, more real than the anger of the crowd, more real than the hands that took him away. And I know that whatever he found in that dream at the shrine, whatever love reached down and touched him in his darkest hour, that same love reached down and touched me too, on the night I thought I had nothing left. I am telling you this story because I promised myself I would, and because I believe Rashid would want his life, and his death, to mean something more than just a tragedy. He was not a perfect man. He had his faults, like every man does. But he was honest, and he was brave, and in the end, he chose truth over safety, even when the cost was the highest cost a man can pay. If you are listening to this and you are afraid of what it might cost you to follow what your heart has found to be true, I want you to know that I understand your fear. I lived beside that fear for many months, watching my husband carry it and still choose to stand firm. I am not telling you it is easy. I am telling you that on the other side of that fear, there is a peace that the world cannot give and cannot take away, no matter what happens to this body we are living in. My husband is gone from this earth, but I do not believe he is gone forever. I believe I will see him again one day, in a place where no elder can threaten him, where no crowd can drag him away in the dark, where the love he found in that dream will finally be seen by everyone face to face, with nothing hidden anymore. Until that day comes, I will keep telling his story, and I will keep raising our children in the same faith that cost their father his life and gave their mother a peace she never expected to find. This is my testimony. This is Rashid's testimony too, even though he cannot speak it himself anymore. I am speaking it for both of us now, and I will keep speaking it for as long as I have breath left in this body.